Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you know, I have migrated to YouTube because I wanted to focus more so on long form content rather than short form on TikTok. I did a trial run in January regarding this, trying to see if maybe I was getting people's interest. Well, it seems like a lot of you are open to me trying more content on YouTube. So my goal is now to teach you how I do my makeup, how you can do your own makeup for any occasion, of course, whether it be neutral look, whether it be high glam, soft glam, everything in between. My goal is to educate the masses. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate everyone's support and just trying to get me to put myself out there. I'm not going to lie, I am very camera shy, but I've learned to put myself out there, like I said, and I'm learning that you don't know until you try, right? So, without further ado, I want you all to see how I go from this to this. Alright guys, so letting you all know, I've already primed my face off camera. I was using the e.l.f. Liquid Putty Pore Primer, and I let that sit on my face for about 30 to 45 seconds. So you want to let that dry before you start to put on any type of foundation or any other liquid products. So I'm going to start off first with the Smashbox Always On Foundation. It's excellent for those of us that have very oily skin. I do about 2 pumps. And since I'm between colors right now, since it's winter time, I do have a lighter shade of it. So I'm going to pump another 2. Remember how I mentioned on TikTok that a lot of colors in my skin tone and darker tend to come very orange or yellow based. So you definitely want to add a blue pigment to this. So this is the LA Girl Pro Color Foundation Mixing Pigment. Got this at Ulta. Very inexpensive. Also pumping 2. I know it seems like a lot of foundation. Trust me, I'm not going to use it all. I'm going to mix it all in my hand, just like that. There, just like that. I want to get a nice neutral undertone to it. Since I tend to run more neutral cool, this really helps with matching the foundation to my face. So with that being done, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my Ulta Beauty number 12 brush. This is a precision foundation brush. Very inexpensive, one of my favorites. I'm gonna go ahead and dab this into my arm just like this. And we're slowly gonna start stippling it on the face, just like that. Now, if you see me looking down, I have my mirror in front of me, so I will be looking back and forth in and out of the monitor, so apologies for that. So like I said, just stippling the product all over the face. Nice and slowly. And take your time with this. This is a crucial portion of the makeup process. You don't want to rush. You want to make sure it's nice and evenly blended. Just like that. So you never want to use swiping motions when applying foundation. It's always best to use stippling or patting motions. You're going to get the best coverage out of that. And you're less likely to get streak marks from that as well. So again, just covering up all the imperfections on my face. Yes, I realize that I'm recording in 4K, so you're going to see everything. You're going to see every nook and cranny, every fine line, every pimple. I'm human. My skin isn't perfect, so this is the purpose of makeup, right? To kind of fix the imperfections, so to speak. So again, just patting it into the face, nice and slow. And my face can handle a lot of makeup primarily because I have such oily skin, very porous skin. So I can pack it on and it doesn't really look all that cakey on me. But there are some tricks that I've learned along the way that help minimize that cakiness. So again, just patting around. All right. And now I'm gonna get a beauty sponge. You want to use this to kind of take off the excess, okay? So just patting that into the face, just like that. It's gonna help get rid of all that excess product that you just laid down. And then again, just pressing it into the skin. Now, I realize that I'm coming across slightly yellow on camera. I can trust you in person, it's much more neutral, but cameras tend to exaggerate the yellow for some odd reason. So if I look a little bit yellow on camera, I apologize. I can assure you this is not the way it looks in real life. So remember, lighting has a lot to do with that. So different lighting is gonna show different undertones. Even though I used a neutralizing pigment like the blue, it still tends to run a little bit yellow, okay? So once I've done all of that, our next step is we want to contour the face a little bit. So I'm gonna be using Revolution's Ultra Cream Bronzer in Light. So I use this more so as a contour because it's a very cool undertone. I'm using the same exact brush. This is just a clean one. Again, the Ulta Beauty Precision Foundation number 12 brush. You want to pat the product lightly and tap the excess off on your hand, okay? Then you go back in and you start at the high points of the face and work your way down, just like that. So again, tapping more product, the high points of the face. Now, it may not look like much on camera, but I can assure you in person, you can actually see the pigment. And then I'm tapping it down, slowly blending it towards my jawline, just like that. We're gonna put it right here on the chin area. Let's get rid of that double chin. Now you're probably thinking, he doesn't have a double chin. Yes, I do. So, with that being said, I'm gonna continue this process across the chin area and then onto the forehead. Again, right along the perimeter of the face. Just like that. Now I'm gonna speed up the process on the opposite side of my face just so I don't bore you. It's basically the same exact thing, okay? Another place I like to put some of the cream bronzer, in this case, or contour, is I like to put it on the eyelids. This helps to further build definition on the eye socket, and I feel like it looks very flattering in person. In addition, the last place I like to put some of this bronzer slash contour is along the bridge or the sides of the nose, just to kind of give you that snatched appearance. Same process on the opposite side. There you go. Running it around the nose. Now, I know I look very greasy on camera. I promise you, we're going to set it. It's going to look a lot better. Right now, I look like a hot mess. I can tell you how much. But trust the process is all I can say. All right. Now, I want to go in with a little tiny sponge like this one. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the excess. Now, you'll notice that throughout this entire video, I will always go back with a sponge and pick up the excess product. That is ultimately the key to having a nice, smooth foundation, nice, smooth makeup in general. So, when in doubt, use your beauty sponge. It's your best friend. Just like that. And then of course I have a bigger one for my actual face. So I'm going to go in and tap all the areas that I placed that contour slash bronzer on. Okay. Make sure to blend it down the neck as well. Okay. Once that's been applied, I like to go in with blush. So I don't do concealer right from the beginning. I usually wait towards the end. The reason being is the concealer is going to help clean up the lines on the face. Okay. So I'm going to start off with the e.l.f. Let me see what this is called. The Camel Liquid Blush. So this recently went viral as well. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Rare Beauty. I usually put about 3 drops because this is a fairly light color, so I can actually afford to do stuff like that. With this, you definitely want to start at the top of your face, so close to the temple, and you want to slowly buff that into the face. Now you notice I'm getting very close to my under eye, and there's a reason for that. One, it helps the color correct. Two, it also helps give a nice natural gradient compared to if you were to put your blush down here and blend upward. But again, blush is very personalized. Everybody has different ways of putting on their blush, so you do what suits your face the best, right? So again, just tapping it in. Same side. Now, if you keep hearing that noise, I apologize. It's my bracelets. They keep making noise. I probably won't wear them for the next film. All right. Now, I want to go in with a little bit of a darker shade. So this is called Suave Mauve. It's one of my favorite ones. It's more of a purplish pink. Tend to use this more so on the high points. And this just adds further dimension. I'm going to put it right there and right there. Okay. With the same blush brush, just going to pat that into the face and blend. Now I'm blending it up to the temple because I love blush. Blush is one of my favorite makeup products to use. Kind of just brings the whole face together. And then whatever is left, you kind of tap that into your outer corner of the eye. Now I'm going to repeat the process on the opposite side, okay? All right, so now that we have our blush going, it's time to put on a little bit of concealer. So I usually like to start off with a darker shade on the outer part of my face and then a lighter shade on the inner portion of my face. So my favorite is definitely Tarte Shape Tape in Creamy. So I'm gonna put, this is 29N. I'm gonna put this on the outer corners of my face, just like that. The inner corners, or towards the center of my face, I'm placing a lighter shade. So this is 22N. And then, of course, along the center of my face, just like that. I know we look a little crazy right now, but trust me. Again, trust the process. All right, gonna get another clean beauty blender and we're gonna blend, okay? I usually start from the bottom of my nose upward and slowly blend all of this together. And then we're gonna start going up. And you'll see how everything kind of just meshes together. And that's the point, is you want your makeup to blend nicely together. Again, opposite side. I'm gonna do this quickly. I'm gonna be honest, it's so much harder doing your makeup in front of the camera than it is in real life. So bear with me. And if I'm making funny faces, it's for a reason. So usually I like to do this, stretch the under eye area, gives you the cleanest, smoothest application. Okay, and then right up the center. Like I said, I try to focus a lot of my technique going upward. You want to pull the makeup up, okay? That's going to give you that snatch look that everybody seems to like these days. All right. And then with the other side of the sponge, I like to just kind of tap around the edges, kind of further blend everything together. Now, one last area I like to add some concealer, and this is for the purpose of further defining my jaw and my chin, the cheekbones, everything like that. Okay, so you're gonna focus on the lighter shade. So it would be this one, 22N. In my case, remember you only want to go about 1 to 2 shades lighter than your natural color. When you start going lighter than that, you're going to start running into some issues with undertones not looking so great, looking very gray, ashy. So you have to play around with the colors, okay? So just adding a pinch there and a pinch there, just like that, okay? You are welcome to use the same sponge that you just used for the concealer. And I'm slowly blending it into my chin and my lower cheekbone area. So I want this area to be lifted and more pronounced. Okay. Just like that. Same concept, opposite side, okay? You're going to see me making a lot of weird faces, just FYI. All right. So once you've had that patted in, go ahead and use the sponge that you use for your contour slash bronzer. You want to blend out those harsh edges, okay? Further blend out the harsh edges along the face, just like that. All right. So we have most of the base products on our face. Now it's time to set the face. So keep in mind, underneath the eyes, you're going to start creasing. Any liquid product is going to settle into the fine lines and wrinkles of our face. So what you can do to counteract that is, excuse me, a little foundation there. You need to go back before you set your under eye. You need to smooth out the wrinkles or the accumulated makeup first and then put the setting powder on top. If you don't, you're going to leave yourself with all of these creasy under eyes, okay? Think of it as kind of like ironing a shirt. You want to have it nice and smooth out before you place the starch product on top. Same concept goes with the makeup, okay? So let me quickly get my setting powder and I'll be right back. For today, I'm using Laura Mercier's translucent setting powder. It's very commonly used. There are many setting powders on the market. You don't have to use something high-end like this one, but for today's purpose, I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to throw a bit on my lid here. Gonna sift that out a bit. And I'm getting a special type of beauty sponge. This has microfiber filaments in it, so it's very soft and plush. It's excellent for adding powder to the face. Now you can use a powder puff as well, but I tend to prefer more a sponge technique, okay? So again, pressing down on into the lid, and you always want to remove the excess. So see here how I'm kind of pressing off the excess product. You want to evenly disperse this makeup. If not, then you end up adding too much all at once and you can give yourself a cakey appearance. So now that I have this prepped, I'm going to go back in with my beauty sponge that I use for the concealer, and I'm going to smooth out those wrinkles like I mentioned. Now, if you got to make some weird faces, I understand. Trust me, I make nothing but weird faces. All right, so quickly go back in and press that powder into the face. Just like that. Now, you want to focus on your under eyes first because that's usually the first area that tends to crease the quickest, okay? And I'm just working the product in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process on the opposite side, okay? So now that you have your under eye set, you can kind of slow down the process. You don't have to be as quick because the rest of the face usually doesn't crease up as much as the eyelids and the under eye. Because we're so animated, because we're moving, all of that stuff, that tends to cause most of the makeup to settle into the fine lines, okay? Next, what I like to do is continue grabbing my setting powder. Again, always top off the excess. And I'm going to just continue setting the rest of my face, okay? Now I'm going to repeat the process on the opposite side, okay? Keep in mind that setting powders are going to mattify the face quite a bit. Unless you choose a specific type of setting powder that has a glowy finish, most of them are going to mattify and blur the pores. So powder is my best friend. Press it into the face. I never swipe, it's always stipple motions. For every process, you never want to swipe the makeup, you want to stipple. All right, now I'm gonna focus on my nose and my forehead area. So I'm gonna use the same beauty sponge that I was using for my concealer. I'm gonna go down the middle. And again, this is just to make sure I have smoothed out all the wrinkles before I press it down with that iron. The iron being the setting powder, okay? So again, grabbing some more of the setting powder, removing the excess, going up the center of the face, and locking all of that makeup in. Gonna set the sides of the nose. Okay, now setting the perimeter of my forehead. Now I'm using a lot of powder because I'm an extremely oily person, so my face can handle this amount of powder. That's not the case for everybody. Some individuals need to use less powder on their face because their skin can't tolerate it. Especially if you have more mature or dry skin, you don't want to pack on the powder. You likely will end up using a fluffy brush, kind of like this one, okay? So you need to adapt your setting technique to your skin type. For me, I have extremely oily skin again, so I can pack on this powder all I want and it never quite looked cakey. Last but not least are my eyelids. So again, product tends to build up within the creases. You want to go out, use another small little beauty sponge and blend out all of those little creases. You always want to do that prior to setting your makeup. Once again, pushing that product into the eyelids, just like that. So my face is going to look extremely matte right now. Don't worry, it's going to look better. It always looks a little worse before it looks better. Always keep that in mind. So once you've done one eye, you repeat the process on the opposite side, okay? I'm gonna close your eyelids like this. Sometimes I like to look up towards the mirror. Makes it a little bit easier, but I'm trying to do this on camera, which is turning out to be a little bit more difficult than I initially thought. But it's okay. It's a learning process, right? All right. So this is pretty much the base already set in place. Just kind of going back and making sure all of the powder has been evenly dispersed across my face. This is especially important for those of us that have oily skin. You know, powder is our best friend. All right, so now that we have that done, I'm gonna go ahead and spray a little bit of setting spray. So you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I like to do it for longevity purposes. So again, I'm gonna use the Sephora Makeup Setting Spray 16 Hour. It's one of my favorite ones to use for my intermediate steps. So kind of cover up the hairline a little bit. And with that, it's in place. I'm going to grab my blow dryer because I'm a little bit impatient. All right, once the face is completely dry, I like to go back in and press the product into my face. This further helps the setting spray cling onto the skin itself and to give a more natural finish. Okay, so you're gonna hear that a lot. Pressing into the face, push the product into the face. That is the ultimate key to having a very smooth and poreless look. Okay, we're going over the eyelids, or the nose, or the forehead. All right, and that is the first layer. Now you can stop here if you want something a little bit more natural. I like to amp it up, so I'm gonna go back with some powder foundation as my bronzer. I'm gonna go back with a little bit of eyeshadow as my contour, and then I'm gonna add some powder blush on top, okay? So I'm gonna start off first with the powder foundations. I like to use the Bare Minerals powder foundation. The reason being is a lot of bronzers on the market tend to be too yellow or too orange for me. So because I have a very neutral undertone, I need to use products that are very neutral. So I'm going to grab a little bit, put it in the lid. Then I'm getting my Ulta Beauty Bronzer 21 brush, this nice tapered fluffy brush. I'm going to tap it, tap off the excess, and start again top of the temple or cheekbone area and just drag it downward, stippling motions. Now my bronzer, I don't like to pull all the way down to my face. I like to focus it more on the perimeter of my face, just like this. Same thing goes for the temple. Kind of just stippling that into the face. And what this is doing is adding further dimension to the skin. Because usually when you just set liquid products, it tends to look a little flat. When you start adding powder products on top, you give your face more of a multi-dimensional look, okay? Now, for those of you that have very dry and mature skin, don't be afraid to pack on the powder. You just have to use less of it, okay? Okay, again to the temple region. I know the hairline's looking a little crazy too. I always go back and I remove the excess makeup off of my face and my hairline, especially around the beard area. It tends to build up a little bit, but it comes with the territory. All right, so once you have the perimeter of your face done, another area I like to add some of this powder bronzer slash powder foundation is to my eyelids. Again, further adding dimension to the area. Now you can skip this step if you don't wish to add any type of bronzing or contour products. It's not for everyone. I personally like the way it looks on my face and my eyes. So using the same brush, just patting it into the face. Now again, using a beauty sponge, particularly the one you use for the contour and bronzer, go back in and press it into the face, just like that. Again, the goal is to mesh the makeup with your skin. You want it to be one with the skin, not sit on top of the skin, because that is usually the dead giveaway that you have a lot of makeup on. But when you press it into the skin, you tend to, one, remove excess product like you see here, and you also tend to blend it into your pores, making it look a lot more natural. All right, so now we have our bronzer put in place. Now I like to do bronzer before contour, and I'll tell you why. The contour is going to give you more definition. The bronzer just kind of warms the face up a little bit, okay? So as you know, I like to use eyeshadow palettes. The reason being is a neutral eyeshadow palette comes with many different tones. I tend to use these two the most, but for today's video, I'm going to be using this one, okay? So you want to get another tapered brush. This is Sephora 79 Pro Contour Brush. Tap off the excess. And again, following, if you need to make a face, you want to follow the natural hollows of your face. Kind of like this. Start up here and work your way down, because wherever you put the product on first, it's going to be the darkest in color. Blend upward. Now you don't have to do this, but I like to do this with my makeup. So I kind of blend upward, never down. You want to blend up, okay? Give you that lifted appearance. Again, the temple region, you want to stick to the perimeter of the face. Don't go too far inward, because then you're going to get too dark. You want the darkest parts of your face to be the perimeter, okay? Same on the hairline. Kind of just blend outward a little bit and upward, just like that. And along your jawline, you want to contour underneath the jaw, not on the jawline, underneath. Again, always stippling motions, just like that. I'm going to push this downward a little bit. Kind of blend down. In this case, you want to blend down because you're blending into your neck. You never want to blend up because then you're going to give yourself a beard appearance. Now, I have facial hair, so I could probably get away with it, but most women don't want that. So you're blending downward. All right. I'm going to repeat the process on the opposite side, but we're going to speed things up, okay? All right, so now that we've contoured around the face, now I want to focus on the center of the face. Now, this doesn't work for everyone. For me, it does. For you, it may not. I like to add some of the same product in the center of my face and work my way down the nose. So this is further enhancing the nose shape. And I kind of just blend it upward and out, kind of like that. Same with the opposite side. Because with makeup, you want to build dimension with color and with shadow. That is basically what makeup is you're creating dimension and shadow across the face. And of course, canceling out any unwanted redness, hyperpigmentation, so on and so forth. All right. So now that we're looking a little crazy here with the contour, let's focus on the outer corners of our eyes and finish up. Remember, always blending upward, never down. Now I'm going to go back with the same beauty sponge that I use for my contour slash bronzer and just pat it into the face. And that's just going to further help to blend the product out. Now, I know this is a really long video, but I wanted to be very thorough with this. I want you all to become comfortable with doing these steps. You don't always have to follow the exact process completely, but I'm showing you how I do my own personal makeup. And it's at least an hour minimum, so this may not be for everyone. This is more of a full glam slash soft glam look. For more natural looks, I'll focus that on future videos with other types of skin types, skin tones. I'm going to have several people on my channel. They're all very excited to be on, and I will teach you guys how to do different steps, different techniques with different skin types, okay? But for the purpose of today's video, I'm focusing more on full coverage, soft glam. Keep looking at this zit in the monitor and it's bugging me, but oh well. It is what it is. Like I said, I'm human. I have pores, I have texture, I have acne. Now, by this point, you're probably so exhausted by beating your face, but trust me, it makes a huge difference when it comes to blending. Which is why I take the time and the effort to do this so that my makeup is very well blended and seamless. Can you already see how we're starting to get more contour, more chiseled look to the face? And that's because I have tons of studio lights around me. In natural lighting, it looks a lot more dramatic than it does on camera. All right, so now that we have that going, this is where you may decide not to do this step because you have drier or more mature skin. But again, I can pack on the powder and I'm perfectly fine. I like to use Ulta Beauty's Mineral Powder Foundation in a little bit of a lighter shade. This is their light to medium cool. And the reason why I like to use this product is it helps to further outline my face. It gives more definition to the face because right now we're looking a little bit muddy in some areas, so I want to go up and clean these areas up. Okay, so I'm going to tap some of the product into the cap. Oh, and by the way, I'm using Sephora's Pro Concealer number 71 brush, and I'd like to focus this product mainly in the center of the face. This further helps with blurring and cleaning up those edges. So this, again, you just want to stipple it into the face. You never want to swipe too harshly. If you swipe, you want small swiping motions, never dragging, okay? There you go. You see how that's already lifting the face a bit more? All right. Switch sides. We're going to the right side of my face. Again, adding the product, kind of following the natural curve upward. Right. Now, down the center of the nose and up towards the center of the forehead. And take your time. You don't need to rush this portion. I'm rushing a little bit for the sake of, time, but you don't have to go as quickly as I go. I also like to apply it to the sides of my nose up into the inner corner of my eyes. Reason being is I don't like this harsh, stripe of contour. I'm doing basically an under painting technique. So we're going and we're covering up some of that darkness so that it blends much better into the face. I'm sure to put it in every little nook and cranny of my nose, the sides of my nose, because this tends to break up very easily because of my oily skin. All right, so now that we've done the center and elongated the sides, I like to go back and carve underneath my cheekbones to further give definition, okay? So again, same product, grab a little bit of it, tap it, tap off the excess. And here I'm gonna use the mirror just to follow along the edge of my face, just like that. See that? Going upward. And then with gentle swiping motions, I'm going to distribute the product all underneath, further blending it out. You can already see how it's enhancing that cheekbone. So that's a little tip. Same process, opposite side, kind of just tapping it into the face and then gently bringing it down with nice, slow patting motions. Never swipe excessively. You want small swipes. Okay, you don't want to disturb all of the makeup you put underneath. So we got the basis of the highlights in. So I'm going to go back with my fuzzy microfiber sponge and we're going to tap it into the skin now. Okay. I promise you we're almost done. There's maybe like 1 or 2 more steps and we're done. To further diffuse this line here, use your beauty sponge that you use for your contour slash bronzer. You want to tap over that line to further blend. You never want harsh lines on your face. Okay, see how it gives a nice gradient effect? And this is also one of the ways to help your makeup last. Pushing it into your pores will help it last much longer because it's not sitting on top of your face. It's more kind of being smushed into your pores. I know that sounds a little gross, but trust me, it makes a world of a difference when it comes to longevity. All right, Lastly, I'm going to kind of go around the perimeter of my nose, upward, kind of blend this out a little bit too. Okay, now comes the fun part, the blush. This is my favorite part. So as usual, I love my Patrick Ta. It's one of my favorite blushes, best formula I've ever used. So I'm going to start off using, okay, this is in the color She's Flushed. So it's a little bit of a, I would say it's between a mauve and a dusty rose color because it has some purplish undertones, but it's definitely a lot brighter and intense. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to use Sephora's Pro Blush brush in number 93. It's a contoured angled brush. Grab a bit of the product, tap off the excess. I always start at the top right above my ear and work my way downward, okay? Again, blush is very personalized. Everyone likes their blush placed a little differently. This is how I personally like to do my own. So again, pressing stippling motions downward into the eye. And then grab some more, going along the perimeter of the face. I don't try to go too far in. I kind of keep it to the outside perimeter of my face. Grab a little more. Gonna put that on the outer perimeter of my outer corner of my eye. And this just helps all the products just blend so well together. Okay. So I'm going to repeat the same process on the opposite side of my face, just going to speed things up, okay? Now, I know it looks a little intense right now, but I always go back and I tone it down, okay? So next step, I like to add a little bit of this Bare Minerals highlighting blush. This gives me more of that glow to my face. Again, I like the matte look because of the oily skin, but I also really like glow along the perimeter of my face. It looks very flattering. So going to dip into this blush, tap off the excess, and again, go over all the areas where you added that first layer of blush. Again, this step may not be for everyone, but for me, I'm able to pack on the product and it looks just fine. Now, I'm going to use a new clean beauty sponge and we're going to press that into the face again. Now that we have our blush on, my last final step is usually further adding highlight for further dimension in the inner portion of my face. You can stop here if you wish to, but I like to further define my features, so I am going to use a little bit more powder foundation. Again, I know it's a lot of powder. I know it may be too much for some, but for me, I can pack on this powder and I'm perfectly fine. So for this section, I'm going to use a smaller brush. So I am using Sephora's Pro Crease number 27. I know this is originally used for the eyes, but I like to use it for further detail work, okay? Using Makeup Forever's, this is an old one. This is their matte velvet skin. They now reformulated this one, so you may not be able to find this one, but I really highly recommend it. I love it. It looks fantastic on the skin. This is Y235, okay? So going to pick up some of that powder, top off the excess, and again, start with the inner corner of the eyes and work my way outward. and up. So what this is further doing is it's taming the edges of that blush so it doesn't look as crazy or so vibrant. You want to have a natural gradient between your blush, your contour, your bronzer, and your highlight, okay? And that's what gives the best effect when it comes to the makeup. Again, this is just sticking to the major high points of the face, the areas that I wish to highlight further. I also like to put it in the inner corner upward, kind of give a little bit more dimension to that eye socket. Then I like to go up to my brow bone and tap along the edge to further give some highlight. Now I'm going to go back in with my sponge again. We're going to press all of that product into the face. So I am going to use another brush primarily just to add a pinch more of the highlight underneath the cheekbones. Again, I like very dramatic cheekbones. It's not for everyone though. So dabbing a bit of the product again with this brush. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even say what type of brush this is. So this is Sephora's Pro Foundation number 55. Okay, I'm gonna put this to the center right there. And then I'm gonna dab a little bit underneath my already chiseled out jawline and cheekbone area. So we have most of our base products, powder, everything's already pretty much mapped out. You can stop here, or like me, I had more makeup, so we're gonna use a little bit of the Pure Nude by Essence highlight. I like to add it to the top portion of my face. So I'm going to use, I'm trying to find the brush. So I am going to use, seem to have forgotten the brush. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the Sephora Pro Brush number 96 again. Now, you don't have to. There are specific highlight brushes, but I forgot to put it. So I'm just tapping this along the edge, further enhancing that highlight. See, I like a nice beaming highlight. This is more of a natural highlight, so you're not going to get a metallic strip across your face, but it does help to further enhance the glow on the face. So I add this just to the high points of my cheekbones, a little bit above the eyebrow region. Just kind of tap that in and diffuse it upward and outward. Okay. And then last but not least, I like to apply some underneath my brow bone. So for that one, I'm going to use Sephora's Pro Crease number 19. I'm going to get some of this and swipe this along the edge of the bottom of the brow. This is further giving some dimension, a little bit of light, and it's very flattering in person. I love the way it looks. Now, I'm going to add a little bit to the inner corners. So remember, this is my everyday go-to look. It's not very dramatic in nature. Yes, it's a lot of makeup, but it's not meant to look like it is over the top. Okay? I urge you all to basically customize your own makeup style, your own practice, everything that you do on your face. I don't want you to completely change your routine. I just want you to learn tips and tricks that I use for my face, okay? Again, I'm gonna put a little bit down the center of my nose, a little bit at the tip. And there, we have a nice little glow going. See that? Now, because I like blush, and I'm crazy, I'm gonna add a little bit more blush. This is gonna be Makeup by Mario's Desert Rose. I like to just put this a little bit in the center, underneath the eyes, and in the center of my face. Further helps to give a more flushed and natural look. And it just blends beautifully into the skin. Okay, further tapping that center of the face, kind of going upward towards the eye socket, working my way up and out. So the reason why I like to add blush at the very end, again, helps to seamlessly bring all of the blush that I've applied to the perimeter of my face and blend it into the center of the face. You want to go for a blush that is lighter than the blush that you use on the outer portion or the perimeter of your face, because then you're just going to look like crazy flush mess. You want it to be a natural gradient, kind of like the way I do here. Okay, and blend it outward. So once again, using the Plush beauty sponge, press that into the face. Then I'm going to use the other side for the perimeter because I have darker colors there. See how it all kind of comes together towards the end? Excuse me. Now, let's focus on eyebrows. I like to remove the excess product that has built up on my brows, just like that, before I start placing any product on top. You don't have to use this. I personally have an old Natasha Denona sorry, eyeshadow palette. Has a lot of nice neutral tones, this dark chocolate brown and this taupey color. I utilize both for that gradient effect. So I focus a lot of the darker pigment on the outer corner of my eyebrows. So this, I may have to look in the mirror because I don't think I can do this on camera or looking at the monitor per se. All right, and just trying to follow the outline of my eyebrow. This just further enhances the brow. Now, if you have absolutely no brows in, I'm sorry, but I'm not a brow expert. I have fairly thick eyebrows, so I don't really know how to use the pens and the pencils and all that kind of stuff. Kind of on your own there. But I like to use eyeshadow just to further enhance the shape and the color of my brow. Now we're going for the taupey shade and focusing that further inward. So again, I'm going across my natural brow shape. I don't need to add more volume to it. I'm merely shading it in and making it a little bit darker and more noticeable. All right, just like that. And then further brushing, just further blend that into the face, just like that. And we have brows. Actually, there's a little tiny area that needs a little bit more filling in. For me, for the sake of this video, I'm trying to kind of rush through a little bit, makes it a little bit more difficult on my end, but hey, it's a work in progress, right? Now, I just like to remove all the excess powder off of my beard. Obviously, if you're a woman, you likely won't have as much facial hair as I do. Like the way this is coming out, it looks pretty good. I won't say it looks perfect, but I'm happy with the outcome, I'm not gonna lie. So, last but not least, of course, I usually like to set my face prior to putting on mascara, but it's a personal preference. Some people like to do it before, some people like to do it after. The reason why I do it after is because the setting spray can sometimes break down some of the mascara, and then you end up getting that raccoon flaky and smudging underneath the eyelids, sometimes even on top. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Again, none of this is sponsored. I paid for all these products with my own money. So before I do that, I always make sure to press the product one last time underneath my under eyes. Remember, the under eyes are one of the most creasy areas on your face because there's so much movement there, and it's the thinnest part in terms of skin, the thinnest area, surface area of the face. You're gonna get some type of wrinklage if you don't further press that in. Okay, so again, kind of holding back the hairline so it doesn't get up in the hair. I'm gonna spray it down. And as you can see, this is really where the magic happens. That setting spray is phenomenal. It melts your makeup into your skin. It looks so natural. Looks like it's almost one with the skin now. So what I like to do is just press in, again, underneath the eyes because I'm very creasy under there, as most people are. Especially as you get older, it only gets worse. All of that area, I prefer more matte. So all we have left to do, add a little bit of mascara, a little bit of lip oil, and we're done. All right, so with mascara, I like to use drugstore mascara. I rarely buy expensive high-end because they go bad after about 3 to 6 months. So why invest so much money when you can save for the exact same thing? So this is Essence I Love Extreme Crazy Volume. I tend to use this when I do more full glam or full coverage looks. For every day-to-day looks, I have other mascaras that I tend to use. So with your mascara, definitely want to remove the excess. You can try to do this on camera. It might be a little bit harder. Oh my goodness, you can see every pore. That's high def for you, right? So coating the lashes, you want to start at the root and kind of jiggle the brush upward. In the corners, you got to be very careful not to smudge too much mascara onto the upper eyelids, because then you end up having to remove it afterwards. All right, so once I have the base coat on, I like to use another clean, this is a silicone brush, and I like to further spread the product out, just like that. All right, now we're getting somewhere. I'm a big fan of fanned out lashes. I do not like clumps. I do not like my eyelashes to stick together too much. I like the volume, but I don't want clumpy lashes because that's the dead giveaway of mascara. See? Look at what a difference that's made already in the eye. That's great. All right, so I'm going to do the other eye real quickly. I'm going to run through it. I'm not going to talk about it. It's going to be the exact same process, okay? So as you can see, I got a little bit of mascara there. It's an easy fix, but you do have to let it dry though. Let it dry completely before you go in and try to remove it. If not, you're going to smudge it all over your freshly done makeup. Now, mascara is probably one of the harder things to master just because of the nature of the product. There's been many times that I've gotten it on my eyelids, underneath my eyes, pretty much gotten it everywhere within the eye area at one point or another. And the fact that I'm having to do this on camera does not make it any easier. But I'm trying. I'm gonna go ahead and use a Q-tip and kind of flick off the excess that kind of got up here on my inner corner area. I also like to use Q-tips to clean right in the inner canthus. Yes, that's a medical term. Remember, I'm a nurse practitioner, so I'm just trying to remove the excess off the inner corner of the eye. Okay. Now, I like to use another mascara for my bottom lash line only because I have much smaller under eyelashes, lower lid lashes. So I'm gonna use L'Oreal's Telescopic Mascara, and this is just to give my lower lashes some definition. Hooks my eye there a little bit. Again, it's so different doing makeup on camera than it is just looking in front of a mirror. So, FYI, guys. By the way, I got this on Amazon. I got like 100 of these for like $10, so it's worth the price for sure. Last but not least, a little lip oil. I'm going to use Ulta Beauty's lip oil. It's one of my favorite formulas. Just apply that to the lips. Give you a nice juicy pout. And there you have it. This is the final look. I'm going to give you different angles of it. Once again, thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to my video, to follow along. I hope this was informative for everybody. I do plan on releasing at least once a week some new content. I'm going to focus more so on different styles of makeup. Like I said, I'm going to have other models on my channel. I'm going to be doing their makeup, different styles. Just want you to get a feel for different types and different styles of makeup that is out there. So without further ado, I'm going to be calling it a night. Everyone have a wonderful evening, day, whatever, wherever you are in the world. Wishing you nothing but love and happiness. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.